Okay, so let's just dive right into breaking down the skull. What I'm going to do is go through the reference photos as well as look at some 3D structure. Thanks to Stephen Davidian, who had modeled this in short notice for me. Thank you so much. Leaving out my bird in there. Anyway, we'll be referencing this as well as these photos, and I'll be simplifying the shapes so that they're easy to understand and put together. If you can do this with basic simple shapes, everything else will become easier later on if you're trying to render light on a portrait, because you'll know what the underlying structure is and where the light should and should not hit, depending on where it's coming from. Anyway, so based on our last exercise, we talked about rendering spheres. That's what we're going to start with here. Let's make that gray, and we'll pick one of these. So we'll do this one. And the first shape I want you to notice is just the cranium. It is basically an egg shape or a sphere stretched in a horizontal fashion. So if we look at the wireframe real quick, oops, there's the center line, and the other center line, and then the final center line. So it's a kind of an egg shape. And looking at the 3D, it's very easy to see that it's very round. And of course it has these like specific angles that are happening on the forehead and on top. We won't get into that just yet. That'll be later on for more subtle things. And when you're doing these studies from photos and breaking down these simple shapes, be sure to have the perspective aligned. So, the eye sockets will be like this. The center line of the top of the skull will be like that. So we're just gonna lay in that angle for the eye, just so we know where we're going with this design, sketch. And then from there, I'll be just loosely putting in that egg shape, and then a very basic wireframe. Doesn't have to be perfect. The point here is not accuracy, but rather becoming very, very familiar with the forms and volumes that make the human head feel believable. I think I made this a little bit too much like a elongated egg. We're going to make it a little bit shorter. And we were able to render spheres in the previous lesson, so let's see what we can do with this just by laying in a basic value. Let's lower the line work down. And we're going to add some core shadow to it. Lock the transparency. Now, what I want to mention here is that while it is simplified as a basic egg shape, whenever I do put that egg shape, I'll also keep in mind that there's going to be a kind of cutoff over here. So that's why I just did that with that shadow side. Let's go ahead and merge that down. And I am looking at the reference for indications of what the light is doing. So I'm going to grab a light color, put a nice light right here, and a light right there. Again, not too concerned with specific accuracy. We just want to get the form of the egg shape down. And this will be part of your assignment to do multiple times, because I truly, truly believe that to drive all this stuff home requires iteration and practice, right? Now we can put that little nub there, but for now, let's just keep it just a simple egg.